There is a very quiet problem that almost nobody talks about properly. Yet almost everyone between the ages of 15 to 25 is living inside it every single day. It doesn't look dramatic. It doesn't look like failure. In fact, from the outside, it often looks like you're just thinking things through, being careful, being responsible, being smart. But inside, something else is happening. You're stuck. Not because you don't have options, not because you don't have potential, but because you are constantly trying to make the right decision before you move at all. And that is where the trap begins. You sit there, replaying possibilities in your head. One path seems good, but then you imagine what could go wrong. Another path seems safer, but then you wonder if it's too small. Then a third option appears, and suddenly, everything feels uncertain again. You tell yourself you're just being thoughtful, that you are analyzing, that you are preparing. But slowly, without realizing it, thinking replaces doing. And the strange part is, the more you think, the less clear everything becomes. This is not a lack of intelligence. This is not confusion in the way you think it is. This is your mind trying to protect you in the only way it knows how. Your brain is not designed to make you successful. It is designed to keep you safe. And safety, for your brain, does not mean growth. It means predictability. It means avoiding risk. It means minimizing the chances of embarrassment, rejection, or failure. So when you stand in front of a decision, your brain does something very subtle. It doesn't say, "Don't do it." That would be too obvious. Instead, it says, "Wait, think more, be sure first." And that sounds reasonable, but what you don't notice is that "be sure first" is a condition that can never actually be fulfilled. Because certainty does not exist in the future. You are trying to feel safe about something that has not happened yet. And because of that, your mind keeps generating more scenarios, more doubts, more what-ifs. It creates the illusion that if you just think a little more, you will reach a point where everything feels clear. But that point never comes. So you stay in the loop. You revisit the same thoughts. You reconsider the same options. You delay the same actions. And slowly, without realizing it, not deciding, starts to feel like a decision in itself. And this is where decision paralysis becomes your comfort zone. Not deciding feels safe. It protects you from being wrong. It protects you from choosing something that might fail. It protects you from the emotional weight of consequences. But at the same time, it quietly removes something far more important. Because every time you avoid a decision, you are not staying in the same place. You are reinforcing a pattern. You are teaching your mind that hesitation is the right response, that avoidance is safer than action, that overthinking is more valuable than experience. And over time, this becomes your default way of living. You don't just hesitate on big decisions, you start hesitating on small ones. You second-guess conversations, you overanalyze messages, you replay interactions, you question your own instincts, you wait for the perfect moment that never arrives. And then you look at your life and wonder why nothing seems to be moving forward. It's not because you don't want more. It's because you have trained yourself to stay within invisible limits. These limits are not real in the physical sense. No one has stopped you. No one has blocked your path. But internally, you have created boundaries that feel very real. Boundaries around risk, around discomfort, around uncertainty. And the most dangerous part is, these boundaries feel logical. They feel like caution. They feel like maturity. They feel like intelligence. But they are not. They are fear, structured in a way that looks like thinking. Now, if you look at this from a psychological perspective, what is happening is actually very simple. Your brain is trying to reduce emotional risk. Every decision you face is not just a logical calculation, it is also an emotional one. What if I fail? What if I regret this? What if people judge me? What if I choose wrong and lose time? These questions are not about the decision itself. They are about the emotional consequences attached to it. So your brain delays the decision, hoping to avoid those feelings. But here is the part most people miss. Avoiding a decision does not remove the emotional cost. It just changes it. Instead of the discomfort of action, you now live with the discomfort of stagnation. Instead of the risk of failure, you live with the quiet frustration of not trying. Instead of the fear of regret, you build a different kind of regret. The regret of not knowing what could have happened. And this regret is much harder to process because failure has closure, but inaction does not. This is why overthinking is so exhausting. It is not just mental effort. It is emotional tension that never gets released. You are constantly holding yourself in between possibilities without committing to any of them. And that state, that in-between state, drains more energy than action ever could. This is what burnout looks like for many people, but they don't recognize it. They think burnout comes from doing too much, but often it comes from not moving at all, from carrying too many decisions in your head without resolving them, from constantly evaluating without experiencing, from living in a loop of almost starting. Now this is where a shift needs to happen. Not a motivational shift, not a just do it mindset, because forcing action without understanding the pattern will not last. The shift has to be in how you see decisions themselves. Right now, you are treating decisions as final, as if each choice defines your life permanently. But that is not how life actually works. Most decisions are not permanent. They are directional. They do not lock you into one outcome. They move you into a space where you gain more information, where you adjust, where you learn, where you correct. But your mind does not see it that way. It sees decisions as points of no return, and that is why you freeze. If you change this one perception, everything else begins to change. Instead of asking, what is the right decision? You begin to ask, what is the next step I can take to learn more? This removes the pressure of perfection. It replaces it with curiosity. And curiosity is something your brain does not resist. Because curiosity does not threaten your identity. It does not demand certainty. It allows movement without emotional overload. This is exactly where the deeper wisdom comes in. You have control over your actions. You do not have control over the outcome. And most of your stress comes from trying to control both at the same time. You want to act, but only if the result is guaranteed. And because that guarantee is not possible, you hold yourself back. But the moment you shift your focus from outcome to action, something changes. The decision becomes lighter. It becomes manageable. You no longer need to solve your entire future. You just need to take one step. And that step does not have to be perfect. It just has to be real. Because clarity is not something you find before you move. It is something that reveals itself after you move. Every action gives you feedback. Every experience gives you direction. Every mistake gives you understanding. These are things thinking alone can never provide. And yet, you have been trying to replace all of that with analysis. That is why you feel stuck, not because you lack answers, but because you are trying to get answers from the wrong place. Your mind is a tool for processing. not a place for living. Life does not happen in your thoughts, it happens in your actions. So the way out of this is not dramatic. It is not a big transformation. It is a series of small, consistent shifts. You start noticing when you are overthinking. Not to judge it, but to interrupt it. You give yourself a boundary for thinking, but limited space. And once that space is over, you act. Not because you are sure, but because you understand that certainty is not required. You start choosing movement over perfection, progress over control, experience over prediction, and slowly, the invisible limits begin to fade. Because they were never real to begin with. They were patterns, and patterns can change. The comfort zone you are in right now is not actually comfortable. It is just familiar. And familiarity often feels safer than growth. But it also keeps you exactly where you are. So at some point, you have to decide what you want more. Comfort that keeps you stuck, or discomfort that moves you forward. And the truth is, both will be uncomfortable. One is just more meaningful than the other. So if you are standing at a decision right now, feeling stuck, feeling unsure, feeling like you need more clarity before you begin, understand this clearly. You are not confused. You are protecting yourself from uncertainty. And that protection is costing you your movement. You don't need a perfect plan or full confidence. You don't need to remove fear. You just need to stop waiting for a version of yourself that feels ready. Because that version is created through action. So take one step. Not because it guarantees success, but because it breaks the pattern. And once the pattern breaks, everything else begins to shift. And you will realize something very simple. You were never as stuck as you thought. You were just not moving. And that was always within your control. And sometimes that's all you ever needed. You're not lost and you're not behind. You've just been standing still, trying to feel ready. But life doesn't wait for that moment. It responds to movement. So take one step, however small. You'll realize the path was never missing. It was waiting for you.